welcome to the latest episode of Living Out Loud. I'm Lily.
I'm Maya.
And I'm Megan. Today we are here with our special guest, Kathyrn. She is a stylist at Brian Richards Salon.
Yep.
So Kathyrn, what got you into like hair and makeup and styling?
So when I was really little, I didn't have much self-confidence. I really liked, hair and makeup, and I decided one day that I wanted to be good at it. So I started practicing, and eventually I got to the point where I felt like I felt really good about myself when I would make myself all done up, if I could do my hair and makeup and go out. And then I realized that there are people that might have felt the same as me, so I wanted to make them feel good about themselves. So once I turned 18 and I went to school and I had all my roommates and everything, I decided that that was still something I really wanted to pursue. So once I graduated from college, I went back to cosmetology school, and that's when I ended up getting my license, and now I am a licensed cosmetologist. And I work with people all the time, and it's probably my favorite thing to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I like to make people feel really good about themselves in any way, shape, or form.
How many years did you go to school for?
For cosmetology?
Just in total for college?
I went to school for 4 years.
Oh.
Yeah, graduated from Westfield State.
And how much was cosmetology school?
So for cosmetology school, you need to complete 1,000 hours in Massachusetts in order to go and even take a state board to get your license. So I completed 1,000 hours in Tri-County in the post-secondary program. And after that, I went and I had to go take this big scary test. And
on doing people's hair and makeup?
Yeah, so you have to take a written test, and then you also have to do, I can't even remember the word, a test where basically I'm doing something on people. So I brought my mom, and I had to do a haircut on her, I had to do makeup, I had to do her nails, and I had someone watching me the whole time writing down everything that I was doing.
Oh, that's stressful.
Yeah, so if you do anything wrong, if you drop something and pick it up off the floor, you fail.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you have to make sure that you're following all the rules.
Wow.
Yeah, and state board.
That's strict.
It is strict, yeah, and state board can even pop in from time to time at your salon when you're working to make sure that you're following all the rules and regulations.
That's so nerve-wracking. At school, say I'll be doing my work, and then all of a sudden the teacher will come over and I'll be like,
I freeze when the teacher comes over. It's
I know. Every time they'd come over to me and get really close and look, I'd be like, oh no, what am I doing wrong? And then they would just be like, oh, okay, you can move on to the next thing. And I'd so relieved.
If the teacher walks over to me at school, I just smile awkwardly and stand there.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part of being a hairstylist?
I think my favorite part is watching people walk in and feel a certain way, and when they leave, they always feel good about themselves. Whether, it's just a haircut or a blow dry, their confidence level is usually much higher when they leave. And another aspect that I really enjoy when it comes to doing hair is wedding hair. Helping someone get ready for their wedding. Bridal hair, prom hair, doing updos. Oh, those are my favorite.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So what kind of styles can you do?
I can do quite a few. Basically, if someone brings in a picture, I try to pick that picture apart, and I try to do the closest thing I can get to that picture. So say someone came in with a nice picture for prom, and they really liked a certain way the bun looked in the back of their head. I would try and recreate that as much as I could. But everyone's hair is different, and everyone, has different length hair and texture. So it really can vary. Sometimes people bring in a picture and I have to be the person that's that's not going to work, which really stinks. But then you try and work with them to give them something else that they would really like so that they can leave and feel happy.
What's the longest time you've spent doing someone's hair?
Oh my gosh. Depending on what you're doing, sometimes people can be in the salon all day. So if those crazy colored hairs that you see, the pinks and blues and teals, so that takes a long time. If someone comes in with really dark hair and they want their hair to be pastel pink, you have to go in, you have to bleach their hair, you have to make sure that they don't over bleach their hair. And it does take a long process. So I've seen people stay in the salon for hours and hours just to make sure that they leave with their hair still intact and on their head, but also at the finished goal of what they want. For the longest for me, I would say probably 4 hours.
That's
I
a
think.
long
It is a
time.
long time to be in the salon and hanging out with, the same person. Yeah.
Do your hands get like tired? Like,
Sometimes they do. Yeah. You got to make sure you do little hand exercises, always stretching, making sure that you're, taking care of yourself, because you can feel it in your wrists sometimes or in your hands if you're blow drying someone's hair for a really long time, because sometimes the way that you hold the brush, it does make your hands kind of tired.
Is it making them like hurt just thinking about it? That happens
No,
to me
it's
sometimes.
okay. No, they're all right. I did a couple weeks ago. I hurt my hand though.
Oh no.
And it was funny because every time I went to go do something, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how often, I hold something in this hand and I'm always using it. And, oh man, it didn't feel good, but it was fine. Yeah.
So what's like the easiest and the hardest types of hair to work with?
So if someone has a lot of hair and it's really coarse or
Yeah.
frizzy and it kind of is resistant to product, that can be really tough to work with, because if you're coloring their hair, sometimes you have to have a longer processing time. When you're blow drying their hair, it takes longer to really smooth it out and make it nice and,
Yeah.
pretty. Sometimes you blow dry someone's hair and then you look at it and it can kind of be like, whoa. So you have to flat iron it or go over it with an iron. Another thing that can be really difficult is if someone doesn't have a ton of hair and they want something like really, like a lot of volume and everything, and they just have, very fine hair. It can be hard to make it look, you kind of have to camouflage it and make it look like it's really full. But for the most part, it's a really fun job to have.
Yeah.
Because it's never the same thing all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds
really cool.
interesting. Have there ever been like cases where people walk in and you're like, I can't do it? Like, or if you feel like when they leave, it's just not the best?
I think that no matter what job you have, there's always going to be a situation where you're going to look at something and go, oh, you know what, I should have done this, or I should have changed this, or I could have reformulated this. So as long as the client's happy, I think that is always good. So I would keep it to myself if I'm like, oh, maybe I should have done this. But I never want to say, oh, I can't do something, because if my boss Brian heard me say I can't do something, he would be like, what do you mean you can't do that? You got to go out and you got to do it. Sometimes you need people around you, and that's what I have. I have a very good team of people around me that kind of help me realize that I can do something, and they'll sit there and they'll be like, what do you mean? What are you saying that for? Don't put yourself down. You got to go out and do it. Sometimes it's just nerve-wracking, but you got to jump in with both feet.
Yeah.
And then if you get into something and you realize you can't do it, you always have people there to help you, so it's okay. Luckily, it hasn't happened to me yet, knock on wood.
what's the hardest part of being a hairstylist?
I think the hardest part of being a hairstylist for me right now that I've encountered would be if someone, I guess, wasn't happy, or if, they, in their mind, thought something was going to look some way and they just didn't feel like it looked that way, and so they're not 100% sold on whatever it is. But at the same time, you are working on them, so you have to work with the client no matter what. You have to make sure that you really consult with people, and that's a huge part of the job, making sure that you are all on the same page before you start something. And then if it's going to be a project, so say you had black hair, you don't have black hair, but say you did, and you came in and you wanted your color hair, and you were like, I want it today, I would be the one that would have to tell you, that's not going to happen today. It probably won't, unless you want to sit here with me for 12 hours, but you really have to work with someone. So maybe you would leave with a different color hair, but I said, if you come back, we'll keep working on it, and eventually we can get to your goal. I think that is hard, trying to explain to people. Sometimes not everyone understands
Yeah.
because they don't go through that schooling. It's hard to understand all the time, but I mean, usually for the most part, people are pretty good about it. So,
And how long have you been a hairdresser?
I've been doing hair for 3 years now. Yeah. And I really
At
like
the same
it.
place the whole time? Nice.
Wow.
Yeah. And I assisted there before I did hair there. So you really have to work your way up from being an assistant, which is a lot of mentoring, like people had to mentor me and teach me how to do stuff. And if I didn't have those mentors, I don't know where I'd be right now. Because you learn a lot in school, and that's how to pass your state board and how to follow all the rules and regulations. And you learn very basic stuff. But when you are in the salon, you're learning everything all at once. And it's really cool, but also really intimidating.
Yeah.
And you look at people that have been doing hair for 16 years, 20 years, 30 years, they make it look so easy. And then you get in there, God, it's not easy. I foiled my sister's hair for the first time. I can do it now in a half hour. It took me 2 hours, the first time I ever did it. Yeah, and I thought it was gonna be a piece of cake. And I was sitting there like, oh no, I think part of it's done, I'm still going.
Do you do like your own hair? Like do you dye it, like cut your own hair?
I don't dye or cut my own hair because I think that would be awful. I'm lucky enough that I work with somebody who used to do my hair before I even did hair.
Oh wow, is that how you like went to that place? Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
so one day I was in her chair and I was telling her that I wanted to go to cosmetology school. I didn't know where to go or how to get started. And she basically told me that she went to Tri-County and then I should apply and that she thinks I'd be really good at it. And I continued to go to her to get my hair done. And then one day she was like, you need to get a job assisting. And I said, oh, I applied at Brian Richards Salon. And she was like, that's awesome. You need to call Brian and Michael right now. I was like, okay. And she really pumped me up. And I was like, I got to call them and see how I did in my interview. Only to find out that she was going to work there and I didn't know that.
Oh, wow.
So I ended up working with her as an assistant and I still work with her to this day. She's a
That's
master
so cool.
stylist and, you know, I'm a stylist, but you know, I didn't realize that she had the in, so I guess she must have texted Brian too saying, hey, guess what? I know your new assistant. Yeah.
That's
It was a
really
really cool story. So I did go into my first day of work knowing people too, which was good.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as intimidating. I felt like if I had to ask a question, even if it was stupid, even though there are no stupid questions, I would ask her. So I wouldn't embarrass myself.
Has someone like ever walked in and like had like just like broken like terrible hair?
Yeah. It stinks.
And like did you have to like cut it to like a certain like point or did you like what did you do? Like
Sometimes you have to style around. Some people could have broken hair so they haven't got a haircut. I had one person that hadn't gotten a haircut in 5 years.
Oh.
And so their hair was, I mean, it gets damaged, but at the same time that they just didn't like to cut their hair. So I tried to leave it a little bit longer. We tried to even it out, make it feel nice and healthy. And when she left, she was extremely happy because she still felt like she had that length.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she didn't have, you know, the jagged bottoms. It hasn't happened to me personally, but I've had a few people that have, I know a few people that have had to go into salons because they tried doing their hair at home, so they've had to go in and fix it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that ends up being a huge, you know, thing. Some people, if they try even bleaching their hair at home, because bleach can make your hair break, they've gone in because their hair is broken.
breaking off.
And that's never fun to see either.
Yeah.
So there have been people that have had to go into the salon and get their hair fixed. But again, it is part of the job. You have to know how to be able to help fix stuff like that because people do like to do things at home because of YouTube and
Yeah.
Pinterest and all those things. But a lot of times you have to remember that the stuff that you buy at CVS isn't the same as the stuff that you buy at the beauty supply, and you're not always trained to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the like most tedious like part of like being a hairstylist?
Most tedious part of being a hairstylist.
Vocab.
I don't know. I think everything that you do ends up being a little bit time consuming. But at the same time, I don't feel like anything is super tedious. Maybe, I mean, when you have a client that has extensions and you have to retape them, that takes a little bit of time, but at the same time, it's kind of cool because you're taping hair into someone's head. So you're like, oh, you want to wash it, make it nice and pretty. So when you put it back into their head, you know, you think,
How do you do
this is going to look great.
How do you like put the extensions in?
Oh, so there are different types of extensions. They have beaded extensions. They have temporary ones you can just kind of clip into your hair. And they also have tape-in extensions. And tape-in extensions require you to be able to take them out once they've been in for a couple weeks. So you can have them in for a couple weeks, which is great. But then once you take them out, you have to wash them, condition them, blow dry them, flat iron them, and then you have to retape each individual strand.
Oh,
So
wow.
depending on how
Cool.
many people have in their hair, you could have a lot. Usually there are more than, like 30 of them.
Oh. What do you mean by like tape them? Like,
So they have a little sticky part. I wish I brought one. But they have a little sticky part right at the top, and it's a clear tape. And what you do is you just have this sticker book basically, and you have to get the sticker exactly right on that spot,
oh wow.
so that people can put them in and you sandwich them together so that they stick right in the hair.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What-
My boss Brian does a lot of extensions. Yeah.
What's your like favorite type of like braid to do?
My favorite type of braid to do, I really like Dutch braids. When people have really thick
Yeah.
hair, really thick hair, they can get that big fat Dutch braid and you kind of pull it apart.
Yeah.
If not that, a rope braid. If anyone's ever seen a rope braid, those
I've
are
never
cool.
seen
Is it like when you like twist it kind of?
You twist it, you twist two sections, you twist them
Yeah.
in a clockwise direction, and then you
Twist
twist
them
them over.
together.
Yeah, and it looks like a rope. It's really cool.
Oh, that is cool. I've seen that.
Yeah, fishtail braids are cool.
I love fish
And
tails.
of course, just your classic French braid. I like those as well.
Do you
Yeah.
want to show us some of them? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
okay.
All right, does anyone want to be a model? All right, I've got my model. So what kind of braid did you want to do today?
You can do a Dutch braid.
A Dutch braid? Do you just want like one big one, or
Yeah, you can do
Or like
just
two.
one big one.
Like, do you
or
have
like
any,
two of them, or
Or like one. Either one's fine. One,
Probably
or two, or like
one.
one.
just one?
Yeah.
Okay. So I would take this brush here,
Oh, I see.
and you want to start with your section right up through here. So a Dutch braid is essentially the same thing as a French braid, except for you go underneath when you are braiding instead of over. You want to braid underneath. And you want to reach down and take your sections from each side. I do a lot of these during prom season. I feel like everyone wants a Dutch braid,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they're updue. It's
Oh, yeah.
very popular. Look at this.
I went to
little
a
tangle
wedding
here.
and I had like a braid going into a bun that had like 20 like things crossing over it. It was very complicated.
Really?
Yeah. I was a bridesmaid, so it had to look nice. I was like, I don't really care what you do with it, but
I think the most like complicated hairstyle I've ever had. It was like this water. It was a waterfall braid, and then there was like two of them, and they connected like kind of back, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then it made like a ladder sort of
Oh,
braid.
yeah.
oh,
It was like the two braids went down into one, and it was like crossing over.
oh, that's cool. I've seen like all these crazy pictures of like hair, and I'm like, that would never ever like work in my hair.
I see crazy pictures of her. I'm like, my mom would never let me have that hair.
I always like try to like say I try to do a French braid like while I'm just like sitting there, and like I like never can do it.
I did it once, and then I didn't have an elastic.
Oh.
It was so sad. So Maya, I'm just gonna brush your hair. Turn around. Tell me if I hurt you.
I remember when I was in high school, in child development, when we weren't doing anything, we would always have girls, we'd braid each other's hair.
Oh yeah, that's
And I
really
used
fun.
to be so amazed because at the time I did not know how to braid. And I'd always make people braid my hair.
All this hair is like getting into my eyes, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah, that can happen.
When you
Hair
get
in
home.
the eyes.
Yeah, when you get home, are you really glad to not be around so many other people's hair?
No, it's all right. Sometimes I still have to do my sister's hair. I'm the youngest of 4 girls.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so
Are any of them good at doing hair?
you know what? They are, and they don't think that they are, so they ask me to do it. My older sister taught me how to curl my own hair, And now she forgets. So she'll ask me to do it. And I go, what do you mean you don't know how to curl your hair? You taught me how to do it. She goes, no, I didn't. I go, I'm not imagining this. You did.
Oh wow, Megan, that looks cool.
Yeah, it does.
Can I French braid yours? It's okay if you don't want that, but I'm just gonna try.
I'll probably.
Take it out, that's
Yeah.
fine. It's probably gonna look bad, so. Can you lean back a little? Thanks.
Would you say a Dutch braid is easier than a French braid?
I think French braids are the easiest braid.
Me too.
I also think a regular box braid is the easiest braid, though.
Yeah.
That is just a regular braid. That's usually what I do in my own hair when I'm not doing anything.
That's all like I can do on myself.
Me too. Just kidding. I like to do French braids right in the top of my hair, and then I'll like leave it down so it's right in the front.
It's like half up, half down. French
Yeah.
braid.
I used to do that a lot to keep my hair out of my eyes. And this is also a really good thing to do with your hair too when you play sports, because
Yeah.
this way you know it's going to stay in.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about it. So I know Lily plays soccer.
Yeah.
We all
We all
do.
play soccer.
Oh, you guys all play soccer?
Yes.
Yeah, this would be a good thing to wear to soccer practice.
Or
So you
I
guys,
wish.
this is a regular Dutch braid.
Wow.
So see how it kind of sits on top of her hair rather than underneath?
Yeah.
And then something else that's really popular is called pancaking. So you know how when you
Yeah.
see girls with those really big fat braids? It's the funniest term. What you do is you just go through and you kind of pull apart the braid. And that is literally called
Pancaking.
pancaking. It's silly. But it makes it look a little bit looser and
Yeah.
not so tight to your head. You have the perfect hair to braid with, my friend.
Her mom is actually really good at doing her hair.
Yeah.
With this hair, I would hope so. Look at that. Looks like she has highlights. And I know you don't get your hair done, do you?
No, just like a haircut.
People pay a lot of money for hair like this.
So now we are going to look at some of these tools. These are the styling tools that Kathyrn uses. So she's going to explain how they are used and how they help.
So what I brought today are my tools that are for basically a day-to-day basis, because people don't always get their hair flat ironed and curled. So obviously I brought my shears. These are very expensive. They're only made for hair and they're really sharp, and I've cut myself on them numerous times. They have a swivel thumb so I can kind of go anyway. My little thumb thing keeps popping up, though I have to get a new one. So these are for cutting hair. Then these are my texturizing shears, and what these do is they go in and they take out weight in people's hair. So it only cuts 50% of what I'm holding. That's why it has those little teeth in there. Yeah, it's really cool.
So like if you chopped right here, like some of it would still be left.
Yep.
It's like thinning your hair.
Yeah, it would thin your hair. I do
I
that to
would hate
texturize people's hair too. You don't need that, so we won't do that to you. We never do that to you. So then I brought a few brushes too. So I have my round brushes. I always have different sized round brushes depending on how long people's hair is, because some people, even this brush would be too big for their hair to go in and get height.
Which size would you use for like me?
Probably my biggest one, because I know you like your hair straight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd use my biggest one on you. Depending on how long someone's hair is, that's how big you pick your brush to be. If you want to get curl in someone's hair, it has to wrap around the brush twice. So you want to be able to, you know, do whatever they want. The bigger the brush, usually the straighter the hair.
Yeah.
This is my paddle brush. I don't use this all the time. I use this when I do updos or if I'm curling someone's hair and I want to brush it out, make it have a nice soft texture. If you want to do someone's hair and make it look like old Hollywood glam, I use this guy a lot. And then, like you pointed out earlier, my teasing brush. I love this little guy. I use this brush all the time for updos or if people want, you know, height in the crown of their head. If someone has really fine hair and you find that they want a lot of fullness, you can kind of camouflage their hair by, you know, brushing it a little bit and then combing it backward. It's a good brush. my blow dryer, which is probably one of my
I think
really
my mom
expensive
has that
things. Yes, I love this blow dryer. It is fabulous one. They say it on the box. It said it had a Ferrari engine in it. I don't think that's true, but whatever. That's fine. It could, but this I use every day, so I make sure that I buy a really good blow dryer because I use this all the time.
Yeah.
And it has to be good because if it breaks on me, that's not good because people want their hair blown dry. And then of course my clips, my alligator clips. These things are fun. They grab a lot of hair and they move. So depending if you have like a really thick hair or not a lot of hair, that's fine.
And those are for like haircuts and stuff. So if you
yeah,
want to,
haircuts, blow drying. I use coloring. I use these clips all the time. They probably are stained. Actually, I have a bunch of them. I have like 10 of them in my drawer. I just brought 4 of them today.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I have more clips than any person you would know. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
At your salon, do you like rent out your chairs? Like, is that how it works?
I don't rent out my chair personally. I don't know if Brian and Michael rent chairs there. I would have to ask them. Usually that's between the stylist and the owner, but I personally don't.
So,
Yeah.
like, if you did, though, like, how would it work? Like, what does that mean?
When you rent a chair, basically what you do is you're renting that space. So if you're sitting in there and you're renting, you're gaining the profits from your client, but you also have to go out and you have to buy all of your own color. You have to buy all of your own supplies and materials that you want to use. So at the end of the day, it can end up costing you depending on your client base. If you have a lot of clients, it might not cost you as much money, but if you don't have a ton of clients, then it could end up costing you more money. So it really depends on the person in the salon you're in and the area you're in. Yeah. And each individual person, it varies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, thank you for coming in. This was really interesting.
You're welcome.
Yeah, this was
Anytime.
awesome. Very interesting. Megan got to be a model. The soul of the group was the model.
Yes.
So I hope you had fun today.
I did.
And to you viewers at home, thanks for watching. One more time, we'd like to thank Kathyrn for coming in today and showing us all of these cool tricks. I'm sure we'll be able to use them in the future. This is Living Out Loud. I'm Lily.
I'm Maya.
and I'm Megan.
We hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching.
This program was made possible by your Franklin friends and neighbors. Good folks just like you. Thanks for supporting Franklin TV. And thanks for watching.